Good morning everyone, I'm filming from a place called Ponticelli, Naples East, and I'm with a friend of mine.
Hiya.
Maria Domenica. Maria Domenica currently lives in London, although she's in Naples with me at the moment. She's an expert on street art, and we are looking at a series of pieces of street art around the area of Naples Est, Ponticelli. So here is the park of Ponticelli, where many people come running and do sports. And these are a couple of pieces by an artist called Nafir.
From Iran.
Maria Domenica says he's from Iran. So womanhood and freedom seems to be the issue here. You can see that on the side of the face of the woman or the girl, there is a gateway that looks a bit like Arab decor, and the top part is more South American, Aztec or Inca in style, I would say. The other woman, the other girl on the right of the entrance has what might be a mosque on the side of her left cheek. This big piece is by Mattia Dell'Orto, an Italian artist, and it's an interpretation of L'Ocunto degli Cunti by Giambattista Vico. So an interpretation of an Italian allegorical story called The Entertainment of Children, and the artist chose to depict ordinary people from this estate, from this park, obviously reading a book, playing games. So we have the two children reading the book, we have another child on a tricycle, we have a winged dog, a little bit like an angel or Pegasus, the winged horse. And we have a quotation from a book by the Italian writer Umberto Eco. The next piece is by Z1 from 2015, and it's also about children and games. So you can see the joypad from a Nintendo Wii, but it could be from a PlayStation or an Xbox or whatever. And just on top of it, you can see the curtain from a theater. On the bottom, you can see planks of wood that appear to be the stage of a theater. So the joypad is occupying the main position in the stage, and it's crushing a puppet of an Italian carnival character, Pulcinella, which would be the equivalent of Punch in English, and also a wooden horse, a unicorn wooden horse. So traditional toys are being crushed by video games. This seems to be the message. Another message seems to be that toys, games and sports, good things, healthy things, can crush crime and criminal activities. So you see a rifle, which is obviously a symbol for weapons and criminal activities, being crushed by other games. So just to give you a little background story on my friend MD. She is a graduate from a Neapolitan university called Orientale, that is a language school. And then she has a PhD in street art, and she spent a few years doing research in London and working in a famous art gallery called Stolen Spaces. So just to give you a little bit of context, Naples East is a working class district. It's always been a working class district since I can remember, since I was a child. It used to be an industrial area where the Bourbons first concentrated lots and lots of their industry. It's famous for oil, so there are many oil tanks here, and it's also a very polluted area. After the age of industrialization or early industrialization, the area slowly reconverted in a working class district, but with many problems linked to pollution, pollution of the ground, pollution of the water, to lack of services, and obviously crime and criminal gangs. So it's an area that has always been considered marginal and at the outskirts of the city. Now, a few years ago, there used to be a gypsy camp around here, and the gypsies used to pay money to the local criminal organization to live in the camp. Now, before the people who in many ways are racist and hate the gypsies could discover this, the criminal organizations kind of set up the gypsies, claiming that a gypsy woman was trying to steal and kidnap a child from the locals. So the following night, the local population was totally up in arms against the gypsies. They attacked the camp. The gypsies fled and were amazingly protected by the police. The camp was sacked and all their possessions were stolen, and then it was burnt down. It was a terrible episode. So it really left a bad feeling and a terrible stain on Naples' reputation. But probably if you're like-minded like us, you know how gypsies throughout Europe have always been discriminated. So this is a mural by the local artist Jorit. When I say local, I mean he's from the Naples area, namely from Quarto, not from Ponticelli. But anyway, this was the first big facade of a building covered in a mural or street art in a campaign against racism, organized by authorities, by local authorities. So Jorit specializes in portraits, so he did the portrait of a gypsy girl, and the name of the piece is Tutte uguali sono le creature, which means all children are equal, all children are the same. So you can see important stuff for gypsy children, for Sinti, for travelers, namely books, culture, maybe because the covers are rather exotic and decorated, they might be books on gypsy culture, and a pencil, and a toy called the strumolo, which is basically a top that you spin. Maria Domenica just pointed out a couple of important things that I forgot to say. Namely that one of the signature features of Jorit's portraits are the sideburns, the scars on one or both of the cheeks of his portraits, or the characters he depicts, meaning that they belong to the same tribe. And another important thing is that Jorit uses spray paint and not stencil technique like some of the pieces that we saw earlier. So we are just under the piece, O fiore più felice chi le senza radice, which means the happiest of all flowers is the flower with no roots. So this is the title of this gigantic mural here. It's also the title of a song by 24 Grana, if I'm not mistaken, and the artist is called Silicon. We just caught up with two children that are going to be our local guides. Our next piece is a little bit like Benetton United Colors in style, and it's obviously about people, different people, men and women, only that they've become invisible, which probably means that working class is invisible here. It's a real shame Naples lost against Arsenal a few days ago. But anyway, the one thing that Naples can boast over English cities is the blue, blue sky. We got a blue sky, and the colors of Naples football team are light blue and white. So obviously the next piece is from 2016. Rosk did it, and it's all about football from a city of football lovers. Lots of us grew up loving Maradona and Argentina. Consider that to this day many kids have a tattoo on one shoulder and one on the other shoulder, namely Guevara, because Maradona has a tattoo of Guevara on his shoulder, and the face of Maradona himself. And lots of children have been named after the great player, so Diego. We are so lucky we found two precious and expert guides here. So we discovered that the winged dog is the dog that belongs to Mr. Caputo.
It's the man with a pipe.
Caputo is the man smoking a pipe, and the little girl reading the book, her name is Rose. The children want their picture taken so that we can remember them. So this is the dog depicted in the mural. So just in case you want to visit the park yourself, it's called Parco Merola in Ponticelli. So there's a race going on here. Needless to say, the park is full of little surprises. So we found another couple of big and precious pieces. The piece on the left is by an artist called Hope, done in 2017, and it's called Io sto vicino a te, which is named after a song by Pino Daniele, I'm Close to You. And it's like a village on stilts, but it's not resting on a lake or in the sea, but rather on the Milky Way. La Fille Bertha made this other piece called The Mother of All Mothers. So it looks a little bit like a doll or a woman dressed for an important wedding. Our local street art tour continues with a few surprises, including some graffiti. So this piece here with the woman and the city background is called Shades. The octopus, or burpa, is part of the culture of Naples. Burpa also means a very ugly woman, and we can't actually read the writing in the octopus's tentacles, but we're sure it's there. The piece is by an artist called Ozan. There is a famous duo of street artists and graffiti artists in Naples called Chop and Calf. So Chop is present in this piece. The piece is called Spruz, which means spray in Neapolitan. So here it is, and it might be a self-portrait, Ciro Shop, with the piece called Spruz, and the self-portrait is that of Jesus Christ. You can see the thorn crown, but it's actually a lie in itself, because the nose is Pinocchio's nose. The piece of the girl with the piercing and the blue skin, unfortunately, is not signed, so we can't tell who it is. So from one generation of graffiti artists to the other, this wall is becoming a hall of fame. I just couldn't be happier than seeing these two pieces. One piece, the piece on the left, is called Essere Umani. It's a pun between human beings and being humans. So it's actually being humans. In the middle you have what are shelter homes or working class homes. So in the middle you have lots and lots of national flags of Italy, and occupying a central position is the ever-present Holy Mary. The piece on the right, dedicated to Diego Armando Maradona, is called Dios es humano, which means God is human. So Maradona, many English people will remember this, played in the World Championship in 1986, and he actually won the World Championship, but during the semi-finals against England, he scored a goal pretending to hit the ball with his head, and we all know that Maradona is a short guy, but he actually hit the ball with his hand, and the English still remember this and still bear a terrible grudge against Maradona. And Maradona jokingly claimed that that was not his own hand, but la mano de Dios, the hand of God. The reason why we love Maradona so much is that he played for Naples, a football team, but he was always a rebel at heart. He always defied authority. So Naples is an anarchic city, a city that bends the rules, a city that is defiant. And that's why Maradona is and will always be its hero. On the bottom of the Maradona portrait, you can see Jorit's signature. The last piece we're going to have a look at is political, and it's a graffiti. It's called Come, and you can see it's against the plutocracy, it's against the capitalist pigs, and it's no BCE, so against the Bank of Europe. It was made in 2014. Above it, framing the scene, is our beloved tree, the Mediterranean pine. I'm going to wrap it up and we're going to say goodbye. Goodbye from me, goodbye from
See you soon.
Maria Domenica, who says see you soon, see you in London perhaps next time.
Why not?
And as always, if you like the video, if you appreciate street art and Jorit's work in particular, and you're curious to know more stories, know about more stories from Naples, then please subscribe to the channel. Goodbye, I'm Sean, see you next time.